Is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talker. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. It's a beautiful one here in the Berg. Sorry, my YouTube video just started playing in my ears as we were going. It was the wildest thing ever. The Pittsburgh Steelers are preparing for the Green Bay Packers. Meanwhile, they are hinting at some roster moves that may be made to bring somebody back, give them a wide receiver back, and maybe they lost a little draft pick in the process, but we'll get to that when the time comes. It's a beautiful one out here in the Berg. Mike Tomlin talked today. The sun is bringing plenty of growth to his grass for somebody to cut it. He doesn't know who. Best comment he's made all season long. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good. I know who cuts my grass. I can tell you that much. It's me. So unlike Mike Tomlin, I have to suffer and know who does the grass cutting at my house. One of my favorite things I think I've ever heard head coach Mike Tomlin ever say,
Yes.
Fueling my Tuesday afternoon for sure. I'm doing good. Throwing out some random Seattle Kraken sweatshirt on today as well for anyone who's watching us live right now. So, it's a wacky Tuesday over here for Jacob, but I'm feeling good and I'm ready to get back on the winning track with the Steelers.
I like that attitude. For sure. The Seattle Kraken sweatshirt was a move today. When you came on, I didn't know what it was. Figured it was some movie thing I didn't know. Glad to know it was the Seattle Kraken. Shout out to Mike Tomlin, who did give us a couple of nuggets today during his Tomlin Tuesday press conference. Some just as good as him saying openly. And you could tell as he said it, you could tell that as he's sitting there, he's going, I have no idea who cuts my grass. This was genuine. I have no idea who cuts his grass. That is so awesome, dude. If I made $15 million a year, I promise you I would not be cutting my grass. Me and my little push mower, no chance, brother. I'd have some dude that I did not hire out there cutting it for me. Nevertheless, the Steelers do have other news and notes worth talking about, two of them injury-wise, and that's where we'll start here. Calvin Austin expected to return for the Steelers against the Green Bay Packers. He said yesterday that he is hopeful, and then Mike Tomlin said that he's expected to work this week, which seems to say the door is open for him to be on the field against the Green Bay Packers. The other one, Corey Trice, who is near a return according to head coach Mike Tomlin, and could be back on the 53-man roster soon, which comes as a bit of a shocker to me, simply because I thought the Steelers were nearing a point where Corey Trice was not going to play football for them this season, and maybe ever again. That has changed drastically in 24 hours, 10 seconds, when Mike Tomlin gave a two-word answer of, he is. Whoa, that was a big one. We'll start with Calvin Austin. Your thoughts on him returning? What do you see his role in his first game back after missing the last two games with the shoulder injury?
I anticipate if he's, healthy 100% or just available, that they are going to immediately place him back into his role that was going on before the injury. I don't think they are able to sort of slowly ramp Calvin Austin III up and back into the fold. I think they have to immediately sort of, here you go, you're back. Go make some plays, go be a difference maker opposite DK Metcalf. I don't think, again, that you can just be like, well, Roman Wilson made 2 catches last week and Scotty Miller tried his darndest, so we might as well let them have the majority of the snaps while Calvin Austin gets back into shape and everything. But that is just a terrible option. The Steelers don't really have any other ways to go about this if they want to win this week 8 matchup against the Green Bay Packers. They need Calvin Austin to be a part of this game, and they need him to be a heavy part of the passing game for this offense. So I would see him coming in and just picking up right where he left off, in weeks 3 and 4 prior to the injury. Unless you feel differently, or maybe there's something missing or anything else that you were picking up at practice or from Tomlin today that would maybe indicate otherwise.
No, I feel the same way. You look at the Steelers offense, They don't have room to be patient here, but also Calvin Austin didn't miss a large extent of games. It's not like he missed 4 or 5 weeks and you're going, oh, he's got to readjust himself back into the offense. No, he missed 2 games in a 5-day period. He'll be okay. He returns, and he really missed 4 days of practice. Like, it's not that bad, and it's not a big enough miss for him to have to reaccumulate or adjust himself back into the rotation. Instead, he just shows up and the Steelers plug him back in. And let's be honest, his role wasn't significant enough. He was on the field a lot, but his role wasn't significant enough for him to say, oh, I'm going to get tackled 15, 16 times a game. Like, no, I'm going to get hit 5 times a game. I think that's okay. I think he could just be plugged back into the offense and things will be pretty smooth for there. And just like you said, the Steelers don't have a choice. They can't look at Roman Wilson and Scotty Miller and say, oh, man, dude, it's okay. We'll slow roll him. No, they're looking to add a wide receiver because Calvin Austin is gone and because they need somebody to replace Roman Wilson and Scotty Miller. I think he comes back pretty immediately, plays on Sunday against the Packers, hopefully has game, but I do not anticipate him being a guy that slow rolls himself and has to get on a moving train, as Mike Tomlin says. I think he's on the train. He's just had one shoulder for the last 6 days on the train. The other one is Corey Trice. Again, bit of a surprise. Did not see Corey Trice's name. I knew he was going to be asked about today. If he wasn't asked about, I'd be the one that asked about him. I did not expect Mike Tomlin to say, oh, yeah, he's nearing a return. He's just about there. Whoa. That was a bit of a surprise, bit of a shocker. Do you believe him? Do you think Corey Trice is coming back soon?
Maybe. This is a very hard thing to read. I think there is a need for maybe an extra body in the secondary, or at least there is a need for competition down the stretch. And as this team sort of gets into the heart of their regular season schedule, I think Corey Trice, it was a week ago or something like that we were talking about. I don't think the window's going to open up. Corey Trice might actually just never suit up again for the Steelers. You get kind of trounced by Joe Flacco and the Cincinnati Bengals. It makes you kind of reevaluate where you're at with the secondary. So I think all of a sudden, what was true a week ago is not true anymore. Corey Trice has a chance to make an impact on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I don't know if he will seize the opportunity. I don't know if he will even get that many opportunities to try to seize, but the Steelers obviously have some deficiencies in the secondary. There's talk, there's more chatter popping up. We've had people ask us here, you and I have talked about, like, is cornerback something that they should consider adding to prior to the deadline? Well, if that's the case, or if that's something they actually want to pursue, Corey Trice kind of sounds like an addition that would fit the needs of the team right now, a physical, tall corner who can match up against players in a one-on-one situation. So there's an opportunity here. Again, I don't know how much rope he'll be given. I don't know how quickly Mike Tomlin and Tara Lawson want to turn to this relatively unproven rookie who's really injury prone, but the talent's there, the potential's there. You need some help. You might as well give him a shot before you look elsewhere, right? I think there's a chance we see Corey Trice Jr. on the field soon.
I definitely agree. I did not think Corey Trice was going to come back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought he was done for the season. I thought the Steelers have given up. They haven't. I think Corey Trice is coming back. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Corey Trice is on the field. Not in week 8, but in week 9, maybe week 10. I would not be surprised if Corey starts to work his way into the system. It's gonna take some time. Okay, let's be very honest in the whole situation. This is a guy that the Steelers are not going to put out there and say, you're playing tomorrow. You just came back for the first time since the middle of preseason and you're ready to go. No, that's not going to be the case. Middle of training camp, really. Like, no, it's not going to be the case. Like, you are going to be held back pretty significantly. And when you are ready to be active, the Steelers will make you active during a game. But once that happens, once he's able to catch up on the defense, once he's able to be there, I truly think that Corey Trice might actually be involved in this defense and have a spot on the outside with Jalen Ramsey playing a lot of safety if they simplify things, and Brandon Echols playing a lot of slot corner, again, to replace Jalen Ramsey. And Corey just working on the outside. I also think that they're going to start testing guys because I don't think they're satisfied with Joey Porter Jr. I don't think they're satisfied with Darius Slay. I don't think they're satisfied with Jalen Ramsey. And I think that right now, I would not be surprised if against the Packers, Brandon Echols gets a pretty significant chunk of snaps to say, here you go. Let's see if you can outplay any of these guys because they're not playing well. And I think when Corey Trice comes back, he might get that same opportunity to prove himself and say, are you somebody that adds value? Because the Steelers have names. They just don't have the value right now. And again, I think that the corners are good, but I do think that Tomlin is not holding back when saying they are not good enough. This is not what I anticipated them being, and they need to be better. And if that's the case, I would not be stunned if the Steelers brought Corey back and he actually got some playing time on the defense on the outside.
Yeah. I mean, what really, I don't remember the exact words currently, but did Tomlin say something along the lines of like, they haven't met my vision of the secondary? Yes. Is that something like that? That's, yes. I give him credit for even sort of admitting that. It seems like there was some questions about, there's a lot of emphasis on the running defense being underwhelming and underperforming, which is very true. It shouldn't be ignored too much, but the secondary, the holes in the secondary that were displayed and evident against Joe Flacco, and really there were some very minor misses against the Cleveland Browns that kind of opened the door for these things against the Bengals. You see that the secondary can easily be exploited despite the talent. So credit to Mike Tomlin for acknowledging that sort of other elephant in the room when it comes to the defense. They have to try something else. Will it bring a better result? Dude, I don't know. Like, I don't really know. I don't know if just bringing in Corey Trice, who I've greatly valued and probably have overemphasized the skill of over the past couple of years, just because I really like his length. And, when he has been sidelined so much, you want to see what he can do and if there is anything else to come out of him. But I cannot sit here and say confidently or guarantee that just because you stick him out on the outside, he would then be penalized less than Joey Porter Jr. or then would not be beat in one-on-one situations. It's probably going to be a trial and error situation, like you mentioned, with him, Brandon Echols, Joey Porter, Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey. I don't know where the best solution, who emerges from that 5-man group, but you got to I guess you have, you have 10, 11, how many games left, something like that, and you gotta try everything to see who can compose this defense and make it the best it can be to go on a run. That's the whole point, right?
I agree. And right now the Steelers defense is an issue, and I think they're going to try to fix it. Like, I really truly do. I don't think there is a fix. I think you just have to play better, but I think the Steelers are going to give it every attempt they possibly can. Let's flip I can't even say flip sides of the football here, but let's flip sides of the football and teams here. Let's talk Justin Fields, who just got benched by the New York Jets after owner Woody Johnson took a shot, brother, a jab, turned around, slapped him as hard as he could right in the back and said, "Get out of here, pal." His exact words when asked about the offense and Aaron Glenn was, "It looked better if we could complete a pass." Wow. Just big wow shots in the dark. And then immediately Tyrod Taylor gets named the starting quarterback of the New York Jets moving forward. This obviously hurts the Steelers draft plans. They will go from right now a 4th round compository pick to most likely a 6th round compository pick if Justin Fields does not play, potentially a 5th, and things will work out in their favor, but not good for the Steelers. And a big reminder that not only are the Jets, you can say the Browns are the Browns as much as you want. The Jets are the Jets, my friend. The Jets will always be the Jets. And the Steelers somehow lucked out on this one. Now I will hold my own and continue to say that I think that Justin Fields would play better if he was in Pittsburgh compared to New York. Different organizations. Completely not even in the same realm. You see how Art Rooney had no quotes from the fall meeting today because there were no cameras. Nobody cared. Nobody ever cares what Art Rooney has to say because he doesn't say anything. Woody Johnson's taking shots at his quarterback. Art Rooney's been through some bad quarterbacks, man, and he's stuck by Kenny Pickett through thick and thin, and Matt Canada the same. Woody Johnson would have fired him in 10 seconds, benched him 2 seconds earlier. And Aaron Rodgers sits here victorious. The Steelers sit here victorious. And to be very, very honest with you, it is a clear reminder that the Pittsburgh Steelers, they want it, man. And they may suffer a little bit in the draft because of it, but they want it. I will ask this one. You lost Najee's comp pick. You lost James Daniels' comp pick. You lost a Landon Roberts comp pick. The 3rd round pick that you thought you were getting for Russell Wilson is now a 5th. The 4th round pick that you thought you were getting from Justin Fields is probably now a 6th. Are the Steelers draft plans starting to look a little bit different about this whole, like, oh, they're going to move up to go get somebody ordeal belief that we all had because they were going to have 12 picks? Well, now it's 9 and they're really not that good at picks. Does that change in your head?
The conversation surrounding the 2026 draft approach for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, has changed drastically in the past couple of weeks. The compensatory picks are a part of it, but I don't think they are the biggest part of why the draft plans are changing. I think the overwhelming factor is because the quarterback performance in the NCAA is lay poopy. So I think because of that has drastically changed what the Steelers would theoretically give up multiple draft picks to trade up and move up in the draft to go get. You don't need 3 extra draft picks to sort of move up in the first round if you aren't going after that franchise quarterback, or you don't envision anyone from that 2026 class to be the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback position. So I think that is the number one overwhelming factor. That is why the plans are changing quickly for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But in general, I think maybe the huge schemes that Omar Khan was cooking up in his, on his big whiteboard in his office, I envision him just sort of, just has so many master plans written out, kind of like Charlie from It's Always Sunny, as he pieces it all together. Yes. And I think maybe he has to taper those down a little bit. Maybe he cannot achieve all of those, but you're going to have at least 8 or 9, maybe 10 draft picks, maybe,
yes.
So you're going to have multiple selections at your disposal to try and improve this team. And the Steelers have shown that when it comes to the middle rounds, if you're not going after positions of need, they often grab really talented players. This past draft included, and going back further, there's some really solid players on this roster that were taken in rounds 3 through 7. I'm not really concerned about them having less picks in the middle of the draft because I think the landscape is shifting regardless of how many draft picks the Steelers are actually going to have for 2026 because of what's going on in the NCAA, not because of this lack of assets at their disposal, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. My thoughts to add to it are that if there is that 1 or 2 guys, and let's say the Tennessee Titans end up with the first pick in the draft, or the Miami Dolphins end up with the first pick in the draft, and they're looking to get out of there, you're going to trade a boatload of picks to go up to number 1, obviously. But let's say that there's 2 guys, and you got to get into the top 5 to make it happen. That's where it becomes like, okay, well, if they are there, the Steelers don't have the assets to go get them. That's where we're kind of at, because there aren't going to be a lot of, think about the teams in the top 10 that are going to need quarterbacks. There aren't as many as usual. It'll be the Miami Dolphins, who are going to stick with Tua because they paid him $1 billion and he eats pasta now. The Tennessee Titans, who just picked a quarterback first overall. Probably the Cleveland Browns, that, like, you got to think maybe, but maybe not. I don't really know where they stand in this. And to be honest with you, if they don't want one and they want to give up Shedeur, go trade for Shedeur Sanders. Like, well, go give him a 5th round pick or a 7th round pick and trade for Shedeur Sanders. Why would you not do that? He doesn't have to start, but he could come in here and compete with Will and Mason Rudolph, and that's not the worst situation in the whole world. You will most likely have, oh man, the Las Vegas Raiders will need a quarterback. Maybe there's 3 or 4 teams. You got to beat 2 of them. And I think if that's the case, that's where it becomes like an issue, because you don't have all these extra picks. You can't be like, oh, here's 2 firsts and a 3rd and this. And now it's like, okay, we got to give up multiple firsts and probably multiple seconds in order to do this. And I think that's where it comes into play. We'll see where it develops. I think guys are going to, it's the NFL draft. There will always be the quarterbacks. It's very rare that drafts like this draft happen, that drafts like Kenny Pickett's draft happen, where it's one guy and then a significant gap. Most years, right before the draft happens, there are those risers, the guys that like, okay, he's going first round. And to be honest with you, if Shedeur Sanders wasn't named Shedeur Sanders, he would have been a first round pick. And there would have been no questions about it because he would have been viewed as Jackson Dart, a guy that has talent and you just take a risk on him. Who cares? But he came with his dad, and that's not a situation that anybody really wanted in a quarterback that you had to take a risk on. But those quarterbacks will come, and because of that, there will be more that rise later. I don't think the Steelers should be reaching on a Shedeur Sanders type or a Jackson Dart type or a Kenny Pickett type. I don't think that should be the case. But I do think that in the terms of like assets to move up, if there's two, when you got to go get number two, you're not going to be able to do it. Like it's out the door.
My only question about that is like, do you think what in these compensatory picks would have been included in that hypothetical trade, like the third round pick that they would have maybe gotten from Russ? Or, like, yeah. I don't think and that's
Najee would have been a third too, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. That's a little different, I guess, too. Because I guess in before knowing that, I'm thinking, well, like, I don't foresee there's not a lot of trades where a team moves up, for that top 5 pick where they are giving up 4th, 5th, 6th round picks that are anything other than throw-ins to sort of make it seem somewhat balanced. So if the Steelers still have, that the first and a second, if they have next year something or other that you could add on to it as well, I think they probably have some type of assets to do so. But you can't make up for it on the back end, right? You can't, like, if you give up 2 or 3 of your day 1 and day 2 picks, you don't have, 2 or 3 extra picks in rounds 4 through 7 to sort of make up for it and try to bring a more balance to your draft class. So I certainly get that, but I think overall, like, I'm not too concerned about the comp picks affecting what the Steelers' ability to move up in the first round. I think they're still going to have a ton of assets to do so. Ton of assets that are specifically going to help them move up, not just assets in general.
I agree. I think that if they want to move up, they can. After that, though, that's where it becomes like that's where the third round would come into place. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You give up your first and your second, you have 2/3. Who cares? Like, you can make that happen. You can still get quality guys. You have 1/3 and a 2/5 and 2/6. You're like, all right, well, we better hit this quarterback. Otherwise, this is the worst draft class we've had since, the last 6 draft classes. So I think that's where it becomes like, it's not the move up. It's the risk associated with it for maybe a quarterback that you'd feel a lot easier going to get afterwards. All right. It's Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's Overreaction Tuesday. I got a 4-pack for you. Let's get into it.
It's a fine line between, drinking wine and squashing grapes, as we say in this business. And sometimes it's very subtle.
Sometimes it is very subtle. The Pittsburgh Steelers have not been subtle whatsoever about going to get a wide receiver. They want a wide receiver. They want a speedy wide receiver. Yesterday, you came up with a wide receiver list. You put it out there. There was a man named Tyler Lockett on that list. And, about an hour and a half after we got off the podcast, Tyler Lockett became a free agent. As of 25 minutes ago, too, he became a free agent. Here's one for you. Overreaction. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get Tyler Lockett. And I'm going to add to it because we're not done there. That's not an overreaction. Pittsburgh Steelers have a good shot to go get Tyler Lockett. Probably is the easiest decision they'll make all season. Do you sign Tyler Lockett for $400,000? Yes. Yes, you do. But they're not going to be done there. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go get Tyler Lockett. And then they're going to start calling other teams to see what other wide receiver they could come up with, because they're only going to make one trade at the end of the day. Might as well make it. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a more than likely chance right now to end up with 2 wide receivers before next Wednesday.
Ooh, that is the slightest of overreactions, but you're not so far off the deep end yet, my friend. You're truly not. They're gonna add one, which is like, I feel like a new person even saying that, but someone's coming into this group for sure. I can't I can't right now see them adding 2. Slight overreaction, but the way you're setting it up, the path to doing so, certainly, we're not breaking any rules here. Still one trade happening, adding 2 receivers, but I don't know. I think just one gets added to the Steelers roster when it's all said and done.
Do you think it's Tyler Lockett or do you think it's somebody else?
I think Tyler Lockett probably is more likely right now.
Okay. All right. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense stinks. That's what everybody wants to say. That's what Mike Tomlin wants to tell you. Historically, the Steelers defense bounces back quite well after they are not good on a Thursday night game against an AFC North opponent. And I'm going to say this time it's going to be the same. There's an Aaron Rodgers revenge game a brewing, a farewell game brewing. This is a game that, this is a game the Steelers don't want to lose for many reasons, one of them being their quarterback. But we're going to go to the defensive side of the football because they're going to play just as hard for their quarterback and to prove to everybody that they're not a bad defense. This is a bounce back game coming for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Overreaction or not, they're getting 2 interceptions or more against Jordan Love on Sunday night.
Wow, 2 interceptions or more. Not an overreaction, and I'll tell you the reason why. It's not because this defense is, going to suddenly show everybody that this was just a fluke of a game that they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to have a rebound game because this defense is so unpredictable, trying to say for sure that they're trying to slap any label definitively on this defense as either bad or good is a fool's errand right now. They are going to probably create those 2 turnovers, those 2 interceptions that you're talking about, and it'll have us all just as confused on Monday because we'll be like, are they actually that good? And it was just a bump in the road or what's next? So not an overreaction, but not for the reason you think.
Not for the reason we think. I think it's coming. I also think that this is just to go back to the Aaron Rodgers side of things. I think this is a game that for Aaron Rodgers, it means everything. This is we're talking about a lot of quarterbacks all season long looking good. Matthew Stafford is 37 years old, and people are saying this is the greatest season he'll ever have. And Baker Mayfield's it. He's the guy. And all these players, all these quarterbacks. Where is the Aaron Rodgers conversation? That's my question. Where is the Aaron Rodgers has his team at 4-2? If it was up to him and not Jalen Ramsey, TJ Watt, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., Patrick Queen, or Mike Tomlin, he would be 5-1 because he did everything in his power, even after getting tackled by Broderick Jones, to win a football game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Overreaction or not, my friends. The Packers game puts Aaron Rodgers in the MVP conversation this season.
Ooh. Oh, I love this one. I am going to say that is not an overreaction either. I think revenge games are a motivating factor and something that is such a difference maker for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year.
Yes, sir.
I think Aaron Rodgers has another classic game, and I could see, he goes into this with what? Is he 14-5, like touchdown to interceptions right now?
15 to 5.
15-5. He throws, you come out of week 8 with, let's say, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's like what a quote unquote MVP does through 8 weeks of football. So yes, I think the conversation has to start. Is it just us starting the conversation? Maybe, but I think it's not an overreaction.
We may start that conversation just to make sure that, look, at the end of the day, I'm the one that texts hey, this is what we're talking about today. And I will start the conversation to make sure that I have at least one overreaction. Let's finish it off with this one here. The Steelers defense. Okay. 2 interceptions. That's the guess. But they need a bounce back game. They need to prove a lot to a lot of people. This has a primetime game, Acrisure Stadium, special jerseys, Mike Tomlin bounce back, drop the mic, come up with something cool written all over it. It's what it does. And there are certain events and environments where you walk into and just go, I could see this one looking good for the Steelers. Overreaction or not, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense has their best game of the season against the Green Bay Packers, allowing 9 or fewer points to Jordan Love?
Overreaction.
The Green Bay Packers don't score a lot of points, pal. They don't score a lot of points.
Fair. Pittsburgh Steelers defense likes to give them up, though. So something's got to give. Something's got to give here. And I think, I could be wrong. How many times have I been wrong in the last 2 months since this season began? You can't even count the number of times, my friend. So yes, it's possible, but I think it's an overreaction. I think the Steelers defense has too many problems and issues to address and improve before I'm ready to say that that's a prediction I can make. So I think it's an overreaction, but I'm willing to admit I could be wrong.
I bet you next Tuesday I get to bring up how the Steelers, of all of these, had their best game of the season. That's the one I'm standing by. I'm feeling good about it. Not good enough to make some stupid bet, but good enough to say I'm standing on business and I'm feeling good about that one. All right. That's everything on our agenda here. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering all of your questions. So toss them in the chat. We'll be right back. What's up, AST Nation? I've teamed up with DraftKings. The next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. The best way to do so is through DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers bet $5 and get $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Plus, get 3 months of NBA League Pass no matter what. With the bye week behind us, now is the time to get in on the action. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen. Then use your bonus bets to stay in on the action and bet DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. And don't worry, if sports betting is not yet available in your state, you're fine. You can still join in on all of the fun with DraftKings daily fantasy sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. New customers bet $5 and get $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Plus, get 3 months of NBA League Pass no matter what. Sign up using my promo code AllSteelers and get in on the action only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Shout out our boys over at DraftKings. All right, we're going to start diving into all of your questions. Before we do, if you guys could take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. We can't thank you enough as we make our way to 100,000 subscribers and at least 300 likes on this live stream. That'd be very appreciated. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Let's start with good old Leroy here. Roman Wilson and Rudolph to Dolphins, and maybe a fifth for Waddle. And we get a quarterback comp for Will Howard in the draft and sign Lockett. It's a lot going on there. Big plans. Roman Wilson and Mason Rudolph to the Dolphins for a fifth. You're not giving up just those two. The Dolphins still have this wild, crazy fate that as long as Tua doesn't throw 10 interceptions, they're fine. Everything will be okay. And then they sign Lockett. I'm not going to rule out the signing Lockett part. I think that comes first, potentially. Roman and Rudolph and a fifth to the Dolphins. I don't think they would take it. If I'm the Steelers, I'd give it. I'd say, there you go, pal. So there you go. You have a good time. There you go. Mason, you will do just fine in good old Florida, brother. You look like a Florida guy with a mustache. You're fine. Roman, you're pretty much from Florida. You're from the Hawaii, which is like the Florida of the West. Great time. You know what I mean? Go do your thing. I would do it if I'm the Steelers. I don't think the Dolphins would be on board.
I'm trying to figure out a way to sort of finagle this deal. I think you'd have to improve the draft pick at least.
To a third.
Look at us. I'm all for getting more. I assume this is getting QB competition for Will Howard and not a comp pick for Will Howard, because that's not how it works,
right? Competition.
Yeah. I think I'm fine with just. I think there's a space, not to go too much on a tangent here, but I think there's space for, do you just let Will Howard and some other random 5th round draft pick or mid-round draft pick and Mason Rudolph battle for the starting quarterback job next year. Like I think there's space for that conversation to happen. Come on back in from that tangent though. I think that's a good plan. I do really think Tyler Lockett, like when I was doing my sort of research onto who kind of fit the criteria of the Rappaport report,
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett fit the criteria, but like there was not that sort of like production part of it, right? But like he fits the criteria in all of the other sort of descriptors that Rappaport used. I didn't think it was that likely, nor did I anticipate that he was going to ask for his release several hours later. But it does feel like that there is a real clear path for the Steelers to sign Tyler Lockett.
Yes.
If you do that and you can swing that trade for Jalen Waddle, you got a stew going, because that's a contender.
I also agree with that. I think that at that point you're putting Scotty Miller on your practice squad, and that's a sound 5 right there. If you have DK Metcalf, Jalen Waddle, Calvin Austin, Ben Skoranek, Tyler Lockett, options. Aaron Rodgers, he's come a long way from 7 tight ends and DK Metcalf. A long way. I'm not opposed to this trade. I'm really not. I don't think it would happen, but I'm not opposed to it. A-Rod throwing out moldy cheddar. Oh, fantastic name. Fantastic name. Going to the game this weekend. If they don't win this matchup, I won't be persuaded they can win a playoff game anymore. Let's go Magic throwback jerseys. Yeah, I agree with this. If the Steelers do not win this game, I firmly remove them from contender status. Firmly remove them from contender status, no matter how they lose it. You lose it with a bad offensive game, you lose it with a bad defensive game, you are firmly removed from contender status in my eyes.
I agree with this for sure. I think this is a measuring stick game in lots of ways. I'm just wondering, is there any way you can lose this game and still be a contender? Like, is there can it be that fun? Like, I'm just, I can't even, I struggle to even throw out a scenario. And I think it's because you're right. They have to win this game, but I just think there's a chance we could be very let down by that. If that is the only expectation we all collectively hold going into this matchup.
I think it's the only expectation you could have, though, at the same time. And I'm not saying you don't say that. I'm just like, you can't have any. If you beat the Bengals and then you lost to the Packers, tough loss. Tough losses happen. You lose to the Bengals and the Packers, you're down. You're down, and you either gotta beat Indianapolis, LA, believe Cincinnati again after that. No, there's somebody in between Cincy, Buffalo, I believe, and then Cincinnati. Like, you have to go on a crazy winning streak to put yourself back into that conversation. And I'm not saying, week 8 is not the end of the season. It's the midway point. You make midway determinations, but I would say that if you lose with a great defensive performance and the final score is 12-11, your offense looked terrible. What are they doing? You lose 35-32, your defense looked terrible. What are you doing? So I think either way, you got to win. You've given yourself no room. You got to win.
You do got to win. I tell you what, though, if the Steelers actually lose 12-11 and the only issue in that loss is that the offense sputters once again, I don't write this team off unequivocally. Like, I don't believe that it's the end of their season, because this team's this team's averaging 25 points per game. Like, if they lay a stinker on offense, yes, the offense needs improvement still in consistency, but I mean they've shown that they can put up points. So if this is the game that they get shut down because Micah Parsons wreaks havoc, then I don't know if that's like the season ending, the nail in the coffin on the contender status. It's a huge blow for sure, but you might just give me the one little bit of wiggle room to come on here after a loss and be like, they still might got something.
I think I'd remove them. And I don't think I'd put the nail in the coffin. It's too early for that, but I'd remove them. I think I would definitely remove them. ND Joe here. I'm warming up to getting Lockett. Save the money for another contract and or trade. We get a proven wide receiver to stretch a defense. He also wants a change. I'm open to Tyler Lockett.
Sure.
I am. I don't think he's the best answer, but I'm definitely open to Tyler Lockett. I don't hate the idea. I don't think the idea is outlandish. I think the defense or the offense gets better with Tyler Lockett. I will bring up my one concern. Of all of the players that we have talked about, Tyler Lockett seems to be the only guy in my head that runs the risk of the Steelers never play him. They just put him on the bench and they come up with the Mike Williams. He's not ready. He's getting on a moving train excuse for 8 weeks, and it's a lot of nothing for Tyler Lockett. He's the only guy on that list that concerns me for that. And I don't know why, but the concern in my head is there.
I think that's fair. And I just think that while I think Lockett makes a ton of sense and he is in sort of the right place at the right time in the right situation for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, I want to be very, very clear. This is not Tyler Lockett 7 years ago coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No.
This is not the fastest game breaker who avoids contact, not out of necessity, but because he's so slippery with the ball that defenders cannot touch him. Like this is a very different version of Tyler Lockett. This is not a game changer, right? Like I've sat here so many times with you and been like, why go out and bring in another wide receiver if he barely moves the needle, right? You can bring in Tyler Lockett. Don't expect for him to be the needle mover, right? Like he has added depth. He might develop quick chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. The relationship he has with DK Metcalf is important for sort of getting off the ground and running quickly. But that being said, you're not coming in here and getting a bona fide 1,000-yard version of Tyler Lockett if he comes in here and signs as a free agent. So I just want to be very clear in that I'm open to the idea for sure. I will not, after that happens, I will still come on here and say they needed improvements to the wide receiver depth chart, because it's just that a Tyler Lockett addition alone does not solve that problem.
No, and I think it helps it. I think if you can work him into a wide receiver 3 role and utilize that wide receiver 3 role, great. He's not a wide receiver 2 though. And if the Steelers want a wide receiver 2 or a 2B, because he's not even a 2B, then we're there, but I very much so agree with you. Chris, guys, Lockett might be the Mike Williams of 2025. That would be incredibly disappointing, but I do think that it's a possibility. You want to know who wouldn't be? If you know, you know.
Does his name rhyme with bottle?
Yes, it does. His last name is what Penguins do. And who has Penguins? City of Pittsburgh. Just saying. Chris, we have no plans for a quarterback next year. This is bad. I don't think the Steelers ever had a plan for a quarterback. They wanted the guys in 2026. They're still looking at them. It's halfway through the season. Things could change. There could be quarterbacks that emerge. Is it likely? No. Is it possible? Very much so. Here's a crazy one, though. Bill Cowher tossed it out there yesterday. Steelers should sign Joe Flacco in the offseason. Bring him in here. Joey Flack. Joey Flack, Will Howard, Mason Rudolph. Worst quarterback room in the NFL in 2026?
Yes. Yeah. That I just got a migraine hearing that.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Bad. What are better odds here? Aaron Rodgers returns in 2026 or they sign Joe Flacco?
I'm going to say Joe Flacco. I don't.
Yikes.
I
you just
still
gave me a migraine.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you're welcome. I can't even think straight because I have such a piercing migraine after considering that conundrum you just proposed. I really have not been convinced in any way. And I know that you have been convinced on this in some fashion, but I have not been convinced in any sort of way that Aaron Rodgers plays beyond this year, regardless of outcome. I think your reasoning for and what you've heard makes a ton of sense, right? Like I'm totally on board with that. I just am like, when I try to put myself in the 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers shoes, there ain't nothing that can get me to play another year of football.
Let's be honest here, brother. Okay. You cut your grass. Aaron Rodgers doesn't cut his grass. You know, they're different shoes. They're different shoes. His shoes are special made in the same island that he got his ayahuasca in. Okay. Yours are New Balances that you cut your grass in. He doesn't even have a grass stain. He doesn't even know what grass stains are at 41 years old. Things change. Things change.
Trying to put myself in his shoes accidentally was alpaca fur. Couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it, dude. Couldn't do it. You were arrested on the spot for even thinking about putting his shoes on. No chance. Eddie the First, Get Lockett, and Woolen, Tyreek Woolen, and Lombardi. Yeah, and a Lombardi. Unless I'm missing on this one, but and a Lombardi.
I think that's what it means.
There, Chris Carter and Nick Fairbaugh were talking about Tyreek Woolen on Carter's podcast yesterday, Locked On. I mean, do you think it's a possibility? I don't know if they'd call anybody, but would you? I guess let's ask that question. Like, would you? Would you look for a Tyreek Woolen?
I find Rick Woolen very intriguing. I know he's had problems, had some issues last year. I believe he's gotten benched this year as well. So you're looking at a player who has some performance issues you have to consider, but when he's on his game, man, plays a physical lockdown sort of style that I think the Steelers certainly covet and envision their cornerbacks playing. I don't see them spending assets on another cornerback. If they're going to add another player, as we talked about earlier, why not just give Corey Trice a little bit of a run if he's healthy? Why not just, then you don't have to expend any sort of assets or draft picks or anything like that. You don't have to take a chance on a player who might not fit at all in the locker room and can't get on that Tomlin moving train. So I think it's worth considering, right? He's got talent, and if he feels like a legitimate upgrade over, I don't know, Darius Slay or something like that, then fine. But yeah. I don't see it that way. Do you?
No, I don't think Tyreek Woolen's the answer. There are no like real corners out there that I think are the answer for the Steelers. I just don't. Agreed. Like if you're able to go get something crazy, okay, but I just don't think that that's a real possibility for the Steelers. Like I look at their defense and say that, excuse me, had to sneeze. Felt it coming. I haven't sneezed on a podcast. We've been doing this for 3 years. Never once sneezed on a podcast. Last 2 months, I've sneezed like 10 times. Sneezy. I look at the Steelers defense and say the players are there. You just got to play better. And if you could play better, okay, it works. But I don't think you could get better. Like you could get better players. I don't think the Steelers are looking to get better players. And I think the guys who are available, it's like the left tackle conversation. The guys that are available are not available. The guys that you would want are not for trade. And I think that's where the line draws for me of like going to get somebody, because I just don't know who. Like you could call Tennessee. All right, let's toss that name out there. Would you call Tennessee and say, is L'Jarius Sneed available?
I mean, I guess here's my question before I get into the possibilities, because I'm that exciting, tantalizing option, I'd say.
Yeah.
Do any of these players, Sneed, Rick Woolen, do any of these players have any success against T. Higgins or Jamar Chase or Jerry Jeudy or can they? I don't know. But
Sneed played for Kansas City, so won a Super Bowl.
Won a Super Bowl. So you got something like that's, I don't, if they're going to get outside help, if they're going to go out and get another cornerback, you have to get someone that you are without a shadow of a doubt, or you're getting someone who without a shadow of a doubt can do the one thing your other cornerbacks cannot do, which is lock down number one wide receivers in the most crucial of moments. So if Tyreek Woolen is that player and he's done it, great. If Sneed is that player and he has the one-on-one history to back it up, great. You find another answer, great. Then go for it. Yeah, win a Super Bowl. That's what it takes. You need to lock down a number one wide receiver later in the regular season and in the postseason, so you might as well figure that out. Is that the player, though? I don't know. I don't know, man.
L'Jarius Sneed I think is the only interesting name that in my, just came to mind to me, but again, was the best corner in Kansas City when he left. He just got paid a boatload of money in Tennessee. And, he wanted to go chase that money. And I get it. I'd take him over Woolen. I still don't think anybody's available. Chris, guys, I am afraid we get Kirk Cousins next year.
Oh, God.
Would you add him to the list, though? Possibilities? Like, he's got to be on that list, right? I forgot Kirk Cousins plays. I forgot he's in the NFL. He's got to be looking for some sort of redemption year. The Steelers, I know for a fact the Steelers called Atlanta. I know for a fact that the Steelers had conversations with Kirk Cousins when they signed Russell Wilson. I know all of these as truths. I can't say no. I can't say that they would say no. I can't rule them out.
This is the stuff that makes me upset. This is the stuff that makes me so sad, man. Because, why? Chris, you're right. That's a real fear. It's a fear that's real. It might happen I know you're not a theater guy, Noah. I know you've seen some theater. I know you appreciate the arts. You ever heard of a play or ever been made mention of a play called Waiting for Godot or No Exit by Jean-Paul Sartre?
No.
Okay, that's fine. What they touch on is the existential dread of not knowing the answers to things. This lack of quarterback answers and the lack of franchise quarterback finding feels like my own personal no exit. It feels like hell sometimes. I sit here and you're like, we're going to do this again in 2026 with some other washed up quarterback trying to hang on to one final year of relevancy. And yes, that's an overcritically way of talking about Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, he's playing great, but I just do not want to see another tried and failed quarterback coming into Pittsburgh, trying to reclaim starting status when they really just need a franchise quarterback. I'm in my own personal hell right now, man.
I don't think we're going to leave it. I don't think we're going to leave it anytime soon.
I'm so bad.
I don't, dude. I don't. It's a tough time. I don't disagree with this one. And I think it's a possibility. I think it's a real where we sit here today. I'm also afraid. I think it's a real possibility. So Sam, anyway, to get Minkah back with Miami tanking. I love how starting Tua is tanking. That is tank for Tua, tank with Tua. The world is just it's a circle. That's what it is. We just live in a continuum, and it's pretty awesome.
Big old tank sandwich that Tua's taking a bite out of.
That's it. I think Minkah would tell the Steelers to pretty much screw off. I do. That being said, I don't think Tua or Minkah likes losing. He's a big I don't want to lose guy. So I think it's a possibility for sure. I do.
They're going to probably move on from him quickly, right? Like, I just don't see him being a part of that future core in any sort of situation.
They gave him a pay raise, but I don't think they gave him an extension. I think they boosted his contract without actually adding years to it. That's what I think happened.
Great move on their part that makes it easy to get out of. So I think that is probably, I think you might be bang on. I mean, would they be willing to cough him up so soon? I don't know.
I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no. Here's the question. What can you possibly trade Minkah for? What would you give the Dolphins to get Minkah back?
What would they want at all? What would they find appealing? It would have to be like a 3rd round pick, right? But that feels like too much for. You can't give them another player. You can't dupe them twice, right? You can't say, here's one player, give us Minkah and Jalen Waddle.
They seem pretty duped. They seem pretty duped.
Did you know that gullible's not even in the dictionary? They're like calling
really?
Up.
Oh my gosh, dude. Get out of here.
Dude, you work with the Dolphins?
I'm done, dude. I'm done. I think you'd go Gollum, tell him you give him a 3rd, and Roman for Jalen and Minkah, see if it happens. Whatever, dude. I'm done. Sosa Sam. Look at how red he is, dude. This is unbelievable. You know I'm a gullible guy, man. You know I'm a gullible guy. You get me every time. Every single time. Chris, guys, you said we have issues at safety. Why not sign Justin Simmons and get rid of the dead wood? Who's the dead wood? We need to fix this defense or live with it. I think the Steelers are living with it. I think they're
yeah. Who's the dead weight? Like, is Chuck Clark the dead weight, or is
it would have to be Chuck Clark? I'd imagine.
I guess he's the weakest of the group right now, but he didn't look good against the Bengals. No one looked good against the Bengals.
Don't mean to interrupt, but you can't trade. You just traded for Micah. You can't trade back for Micah. NFL rules. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
That's we've talked about this on here before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have many times. But look at it, in the moment, it was fun. It was
fun. I was trying to get Noah to fall for my joke, and he did.
Justin Simmons to me is a guy that like would work, but I don't think he's going to get enough snaps to. I mean, anything's better than the snaps he's getting right now, but I don't think he's getting enough snaps to like really sit here and say like, okay, like, you know, you could justify bringing him in. I don't think the Steelers I think they need safety. I think long term they need safety help. Again, like, do you think Justin Simmons is like an answer to this? Does it fix anything?
No, not in my mind. I guess I just don't see the same sort of I don't share the frustration in the safety group specifically in 2025. I agree with you, Noah, in the sense that like it's a more pressing need beyond this season than I think maybe some other people are saying right now. But for the remainder of the 2025 season, like Jabril Peppers is fine with me. Chuck Clark is fine with me. Deshaun Elliott is a stud. Like I'm not sure what the actual problems are that you can then go out and improve very quickly. So I think the safeties are fine. I'm certainly not eager to go sign another veteran who has more tread on the tires in an effort to add some insurance. But you know, maybe there's similarly to the outside cornerback discussion, if there is absolutely someone that you can go out there and you feel is a legitimate upgrade over Juan Thornhill and Clark and Peppers to pair with Deshaun Elliott, then okay, fine. Who am I to say that's a stupid idea? That's a great idea. But just going out and adding a Justin Simmons or someone with slight name recognition, I don't think is quite a solution right now.
No, I sit here with the same thought. Like, if you think it's going to fix it, go get it. But I don't know if Justin Simmons does. I think he fits a lot of what the Steelers are doing, but like, I don't think you beat the Bengals because of Justin Simmons. And I think I'd feel the same way. It's not just Justin Simmons. I think I'd feel the same way across the board on any defender. Pittsburgh gets me every time. Pittsburgh Feelers. Yes, dude. Yes. After last week's performance, I'm predicting 3 turnovers for our defense. I thought we were getting a spit take here. I was hoping for it. I was really hoping for it. I thought it timed out perfectly. I thought it was a beautiful situation. Shout out to Pittsburgh Feelers for that one. After last week's performance, I'm predicting 3 turnovers for our defense. Overreaction or not, my friend?
Not an overreaction for the same, reasons that I gave to Noah earlier. Like this defense feels so unpredictable, and I feel so unable to sort of place my finger directly on the pulse of it. And I think it's possible that they have just like a showing out of a game against the Green Bay Packers, and they could have 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions. So yeah, not an overreaction at all. I can't even say the name because it just makes me giggle.
I don't think it's an overreaction either. I said 2. I could see 3. Like, historically, the Steelers are really good in those bounce back games from Thursday night. There's something about him. Mike Tomlin sucks on a short week, and he's great on a long week. You give that guy an extra day, he's like, oh, I know how to coach again. This is great. My team's going to be fantastic. We'll see if that carries over. But history's on their side on this one for sure. Chris, the dirty truth is that this defense could be phenomenal, but we lack a lockdown number 1 corner. Until we demote Joey Porter Jr. and get a real number 1 CB, we will get torched. I don't honestly disagree with this, simply because there was very straightforward talk this offseason about how Jalen Ramsey was cornerback 1. And he has not been cornerback 1. it took him a quarter and a half to start playing man-to-man on Jamar Chase, and then he wasn't always on Jamar Chase, and it just kind of felt like Jalen was supposed to be the guy on Jamar Chase. Do you think that they need to start like rotating guys? Do you think they need to start moving these guys? It's Darius Slay, Joey Porter on one side, Jalen Ramsey in the middle. That's the rotation, and nothing changes.
I truly don't. I hate to sound like a broken record today, but I don't know what the solution is in terms of rotating them, because there isn't one of those three players that I feel particularly great about, like traveling with a Jamar Chase, to stay on that example for a little bit longer. Like, all three of them struggled in some ways. Joey Porter Jr. shows probably the most athleticism and quickness whenever he's healthy, but he's still not the guy that I want as number one cornerback going up against a number one passing option. So I don't think the answer is just finding more rotation. I think the answer is finding better ways to avoid having those one-on-one matchups whenever you know that you're going up against a top threat like a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson. Because for the most part, when you're playing, look, like the Green Bay Packers, I to use them as a counter example, I feel way better about Joey Porter Jr. going up against, Romeo Doubs one-on-one than Jamar Chase, right? Like everyone does. Like that's the simple part of it. So you don't have to big brain scheme this bad boy, but like it just blows my mind that going up against these top-notch elite wide receivers and dangerous weapons, that they don't have a more complicated sort of scheme and protection and game plan to sort of stop them. They're just keen on finding one guy and letting him shut him down, which makes no sense. And when it doesn't work, they don't have an adjustment sort of in the back pocket ready to go. So I think that it's not the rotation, it's the adjustment overall that needs to be better.
That's a perfect follow-up here with Dougie Fresh. I don't feel the problem is the players. How about Tomlin making adjustments since he ran the same 2 or 3 pass plays over and over again? I don't think that you are going to stop Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I just simply don't. But I do think that there were adjustments that could have been made. I think you could have, I might be the only one saying this, but I think you could have blitzed less and put linebackers in coverage more to stop the slants. I think it would have helped a little bit. I also think that at the end of the day, I don't know how you would look at. I get it's disrespectful. Put 2 freaking corners on Jamar Chase. Like if that's where you're at, put 2 corners at Jamar Chase and say, got to do what you got to do. I don't know what the adjustments could have been. I'm not a coach, but I do think that a little bit of it does fall on Mike Tomlin as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Justin Gordon, I can't believe we're still having the wide receiver convo after last year. This has been an indictment on Omar Khan. The whole world's seen this coming, and he did nothing. I will say this. I am surprised that of all the calls that Omar Khan made, nobody ended up in Pittsburgh. He called the Washington Commanders for Terry McLaurin. He called the New Orleans Saints for Chris Olave. He obviously called the Seahawks and got DK Metcalf. He called the San Francisco 49ers again. Like, he called everybody, and nobody wanted to come to Pittsburgh. So he called the Miami Dolphins for Tyreek Hill. Nobody wanted to come to Pittsburgh. Like, it just kind of felt like, what are we missing here, right? Like, there's got to be something in this conversation that I'm not understanding, because they are calling everyone and seemingly getting no one 2 years now. Like, are they just lowballing people, or are they just really bad they're great at everything else and they're really bad at getting a wide receiver outside of DK Metcalf? Like, I don't know.
I think there is a reputation about Omar Khan that if you're going to talk wide receivers with him, you either take him for everything he's worth, or you do not do that trade. Because I think the Chase Claypool trade has just destroyed the minds of so many general managers, and the value that he was able to get for a trash pile, in terms of trade assets and values. I think everyone knows, or everyone fears, maybe rather than knows, that they just don't want to make a trade with Omar Khan because they feel like they're going to get got and they're going to just get taken for a ride. So I don't think it's so much so that, Omar calls and he's like, hey, we want Chris Olave. We're going to give you a broken washing machine and a 7th round pick. Like, I don't think it's that, but I do think they call and they're like, even if it sounds like a good offer, it's coming from Omar. So there's got to be something wrong with it, or there has to be something where he's winning and we're losing and I don't trust it. So I think it's a lot of that and the sort of gamesmanship involved rather than, Omar Khan's a bad negotiator. I think it's quite the opposite. He's very good at it. So it's made other teams really leery to deal with him.
That's a good point. And I wonder, man, but it's just, I don't know. That's the one part of it that kind of confuses me. Rasta Pasta Salad. Who is the most realistic wide receiver trade? Oh, realistic. I'm going to say Jacoby Myers is the most realistic wide receiver trade where we sit here today. He's the one that is seemingly on the table and costs almost nothing.
Yeah. I think him, and I'll continue to throw Rashid Shaheed's name in as well. I just think he remains like the number one receiver along with Jacoby Myers, who's probably going to get moved before the deadline, and he fits a lot of needs for the Steelers. So I'll go with him.
Yes. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Jacob's favorite receiver, my piercings are still sore from last week's loss, but I think we are still Super Bowl contenders when the defense remembers what planet they are on. Is this Philipponi, dude? Is this Pony? Shout out to Pony, brother. Shout out to Pony.
Sore nips.
I'll say this: the Steelers. I'm not removing that, and I've said this all week. I'm not overreacting and putting the Steelers outside of contender status. Not yet. Do I think that they're like the dominant? Oh my gosh, they might win the AFC right now. No. Do I think the door is still open for that? Certainly. I'm not willing to say a Thursday night game against Joe Flacco is the reason that the Steelers are done. You want to talk fluke? That's fluky.
Fluky for sure. Is it? Yeah, I can't write them off yet either, but I do think that it is concerning on a deeper level than than a week or two before that we were talking about concerns with this team.
Yes, I agree. Keeping them trucking here. Nicholas, if we are being honest, we will have Tomlin until 2027. Chances we keep him after that. Personally, I don't even think we should have extended the last one. You could ask me this question every year until the end of time. My answer will always be the same. Mike Tomlin will be the Steelers coach until he either dies or retires, and that will not change. It will not change.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, he's got unless he kills a man, he's got a job for life.
Dude, in the city of Pittsburgh, you're telling me that guy's getting arrested? No chance. No chance, bro. He doesn't even cut his grass. You think he's going outside long enough? He hasn't grocery shopped in 10 years. 10 years this guy hasn't walked into a giant eagle. Where's he going? He's not. No.
You think I even know who I hire to kill people? I'm the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't even know that.
I don't even know that, dude. I don't even know that. No chance. Look, it doesn't mean that we agree with it. No, not always. I agree that he should be the Steelers head coach right now. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say that. Yes. But he will be the Steelers head coach until he retires. Nate needs more salad. If we get Waddle with, will you both do the Waddle TD celebration on the pod, please? Oh, for sure. Without question, we'll do that. That's the easiest. God,
in a Penguins, I'll find a Penguins costume to do it in.
Man, dude, now when that happens, that has to happen, and you will have to find a Penguin costume. And you just made that much worse on yourself, but it's gonna be fun anyways. It's gonna be fun anyways. It will be. Leroy read a report saying we should sign Breece Hall from the Jets. I mean, look, would it be awesome? Yeah, for sure. Do I absolutely love Jaylen Warren right now? A little bit too much. To be all in on another running back. I just, if he's cheap, sure. He's not. We're talking Breece Hall from the Jets. You're gonna have to trade for him if you want to give him up for a 6th round pick. Cool, come on over here, brother. Mm-hmm. If you got to pay something for him, like something real, I'm okay. I'm cool with Jaylen Warren, and he looks so good that I don't even think I have to really justify that.
Yeah. I mean, Jaylen Warren, I think, has done so much to sort of quiet the doubts, the chatter surrounding whether or not he could be a top running back. I think he's been great. He is not the reason that their rushing game is. I think it's when I was doing it this morning, 26. I want to say in rushing yards per game, the team is averaging in the league.
But it started terrible.
Right. It's not because Jaylen Warren is an inept running back. It's because this offense has been unable to start and consistently finish games. Aside from that, if they want to, you want to bring in a guy like Bryce Hall, he's talented as hell. Bryce Hall is an incredible running back. That's great. The Jets have maintained for months, even going back to last year, that they have no desire to get rid of him at all, despite everyone asking about that every day for the last year and a half.
I agree. Justin Gordon, who in the NFL really shut down number one in Cincy? We need to bring in Debo out of retirement for the next Cincy game just to hunt number one on slant routes. He'd probably do it too. That's the best part about Debo is he'd be like, oh yeah, dude, if you're going to pay my fine, I'll come out of retirement. Give me 2 hits. I'll get kicked out of the game. It's no big deal. Whatever. It's awesome. Debo is still to this day the scariest man on the planet. And he'd probably kill a man. We want to talk about who would be suspect one if Mike Tomlin did kill a man. Debo. James Harrison. Easy. Dougie Fresh, please no Lockett. Mike Williams all over again. Go get Waddle or one of the Raiders wide receivers. Lockett will ride the bench and be out after this year. I think there's, of all the wide receivers, a real possibility that would happen. I don't feel the same way about many others, but unfortunately, I still feel Tyler Lockett, if he has not signed with anybody as of now, which I don't think he did. We're going to check Twitter while we're sitting here. Still nothing. Nada. We're good. Then I do not think that. I still think he's the most likely name for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. Speed round here. Lindsay, will wide receiver be the only trade or addition before the deadline? Do you guys see any other position being added? I think it's only wide receiver. I think it's the only position they add.
Yeah, I agree. It's wide receiver or nothing for me right now.
David, if you were the GM, what's the best option at quarterback for 2026? And what is the more realistic option that Omar would do? College quarterbacks looking rough. I think realistically, Kirk Cousins is actually a name that we should now start talking about. However, I think what's the best option in 2026 is still a quarterback in the draft. Wait for one, see what happens. The more realistic option, in my opinion, is still a quarterback in the draft. I would not be. I think where we sit right now, even if it's a guy that you're getting at 27, I think that's still the most realistic possibility for the Steelers to add a quarterback next offseason.
Yeah. The best they could do is getting Fernando Mendoza out of the University of Indiana, and that would be the best option in the 2026 NFL draft. Most realistic, Mason and Will vying for the starting job next year. And if it's Kirk Cousins in there,
which is Will, because they're not going to give Mason Rudolph the starting job. Let's be honest.
He'd start the first preseason game.
He would.
It's a big step.
Bang bang Steelers gang. That's where I gotta go with this one. I would take Lockett and Claypool, or Lockett and Deontay Johnson. Leroy's following that up. Play bench cut in our wide receiver search now. Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. Also, would you reconsider Chase Claypool? I would not reconsider Chase Claypool. There's a reason Chase Claypool's not in the NFL. It's just the truth. And play bench cut in this one. I mean, you're nuts if you're playing anybody but George Pickens. You are nuts if you're playing anybody but George Pickens. I'm benching Deontay. I'm cutting Chase Claypool.
Yeah, easy. No disagreements. Deontay Johnson's not looking like a bad option right now. That's all I'm saying.
I knew you'd come around. Nate Moore, how long until we get Lockett? I'm impatient. Here's my guess. Tell me if I'm wrong here. My guess is that they get him before tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Wow. I think you are correct.
Yeah, love it. I think they're gonna bring him in for physical tomorrow morning and then sign him tomorrow afternoon. And the news will break right as I'm going to bed tonight. Carl, mean cup of Joe, green beans, salad, spackler. Overreaction next 3 weeks is what we must be looking at. Forget the division BS. AFC North is the North NFC contender and 2 AFC contenders in Chargers and Colts. Are we real? Let's see. I think the next 3 weeks is a serious. This is not an overreaction. The next 3 weeks decides way more for me and the Pittsburgh Steelers than Thursday Night Football in Cincinnati. Easy, hands down.
It's a tough stretch. And if they are a winning team, a championship worthy team, they make it out of here. Maybe not perfect and unscathed, but they will certainly show that they are a playoff team with their performances. So yeah, I have a great take from Carl.
Mean cup of Joe, green beans, spackler. BRY guy, Jacob, are you going as Lin-Manuel Miranda for Halloween? You definitely could pull it off. Let's be very honest, dude. Definitely.
If I wasn't so painfully white, for sure I could pull it off, you know?
Yeah, dude. But he you could, you know what I mean? Like my wife's got the tanning lotion. You could be good enough, you know, without getting weird with it.
Can't get weird with it. The goatee helps a lot. Goatee helps a lot.
For sure. Tyrone, what's more likely, 5 passing touchdowns from A-Rod or hold the Packers under 13 points?
I'm going to say 5 touchdowns. And I think that's crazy, but
I'm going 5 touchdowns. I think this could be nuts. A-Rod's going to be, it's going to be one of those moments, man, where he's, you know what I mean? Afterwards, he's going to give that little A-Rod smile. It's just, you see it coming in. And let's finish it off with Dalton here. Do you think that we will lose Arthur Smith to a team in need of a head coach next year? The way he's playing, I'm not going to say no to that conversation right there. And you want to know who I think might give him a phone call? The Tennessee Titans.
Bingo.
I think it could happen. Happen.
I would bet serious money on Art locking up a head coaching job with the Titans. Serious money.
I think it's a very big possibility. And then, you know, it all just starts over for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Fun times. Kirk Cousins, though. With that said, guys,
coordinator.
Yeah, and the starting quarterback. With that said, guys, we're heading out here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Hit that like button before you head out of here. We can't thank you guys enough. And with that said, we'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg.